Hey guys, it's Ronan. I just wanted to pull up this game and go through a couple of these fights for some positioning purposes. I think Oscar and I had a bit of a discussion that we were kind of coming at from different angles, and I think there's good takeaways from both perspectives. So I wanted to kind of go through that just a little bit here. So this is going into the first engagement that I felt was kind of not great for us because of our positioning. Like right now, we're actually sitting in an okay spot. And I've got this new handy dandy little tool. So with me being here, I've got all of this pretty much zoned out, and even really down here. So I think in this position, we're actually sitting pretty geocentral. And then we've got Cake in a mostly safe spot because I can cover here, and we've got Nema that can cover here. And in this position, Nema's kind of a backliner, and Geo can also engage if we have to. So all of that I do really like as far as our positioning at this point. So I'm going to hit play here so we can watch as this unfolds and then kind of pause it as we go. So here we can see where they're coming. Now, this is one of the places where I think the flaws really came in. And I think that because if you look, the objective is pushing this way. Now, with the objective pushing that way, we should also be pushing that way. But the enemy is coming in this way. So with all that being the case, we should not have our back line there. The back line should be in front of me because the actual safe spot is here where we're traveling to, since we can see all of them. So I think this is the first position where, if you look at it, Notai is a little behind me, but he's pretty close. Geo's where he should be because he should be in the back since he's our second front line. But the real issues are that we have a squishy here that is directly in line and a fairly immobile one. So I think this is the position right here where it was a problem. And I didn't notice it because I was getting ready for the fight. But the call here, this is a terrible position for us to fight in because we're flip-flopped. Our supposedly safe spot's back here, and then our front line is actually basically up here where Nema and I are. So I think that's the first issue with the way that this fight went. And then we'll go ahead and actually... need to do that. Still getting used to this tool. But so now going forward a little bit more, as they engage in on it, of course, Cake has to move back. And then here, you can kind of see it started off almost correcting itself. So what I would have liked to have seen happen is Cake just run all the way around here at this point because you got cut off from the rest of us. We're in a good position with them coming in. Let's see. I marked the wrong people there. So we've got our enemies here, 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 and here. And then with us, we're actually in a pretty good spot. Got tank, front line, front line. So we actually are blocking them all off because Notai's in a safe spot here. But you aren't yet. And now we're having to fight back up into them to try to get to where you are. So I think the right call here, if the call wasn't to back off, which I think initially that just should have been the call because they came on us at an angle that was disadvantageous to us, you either needed to swoop around while the rest of us retreated back this way also. And that way we're consolidating together where they can't split us apart and pick us off. So that is, I think, the big mistake of this fight. And of course, remember how this fight in particular played out. But we'll go ahead and go through here. So we're still fighting. We're actually doing decent. You managed to push back up. They collapsed down here. But we're still in this position where we're kind of separated. It didn't hurt that badly, if for no other reason than the fact that they stopped chasing you. They got an advantage in the actual 4v4 rather than chasing you. I think was all that happened there. So we'll go ahead and speed up here till the next big fight. And that actually go back here because I think this was mostly just because we were in a rush to try to get up onto them. Yeah, because we weren't even as 5 yet. So that was just a bad fight overall because we were trying to stop it. We shouldn't have. This map that it's not that important that you give up kills for it. So we'll go ahead and move forward to the next big disadvantageous fight we had. This one. This is the infamous one, if I recall. Yeah. So, right here, we're not bad at this point, right? We've got Geo taking that because he can. We just finished taking this and are moving up to help Geo. So, struggling with my my controls here a little bit, but I think it's still going to get the point across. So, and Geo does the right thing, right? Like he sees them come in, he retreats to us. We're moving up. This is all good. So let's see where it goes bad. So right here, this is still an okay position. Because essentially in this position, we still have front line here with me and Geo, and we have front line here, because really Cassie is a front line. She's fairly durable. She puts out enough damage that she threatens, so she can come here or here as needed if they flank us. Now we know that Thrall is down there, and we can't see him, so we could have a flanker coming, so Nema being there I actually really like. That's not a big deal. So this isn't terrible yet because it's a 5v3. Even though Geo's very low, it's a 5v3. This is still a fight we want to take. Now, maybe Geo backs up here as the rest of us engage in, and Nema comes around is the best way that this goes. But either way, I think taking the fight was absolutely the right call there. So now, let's go ahead and move forward just a little bit here. So they get the stun on Geo. Let's see. So Geo does get back. I'm up here. We have successfully isolated this person. You know, I mean, we have... Let's see, we'll go here. We have the Stukov so isolated because his allies over here. This is great. You know, like, this is absolutely the right call to go for him and to do this. So I have still, again, no problems up to this point as far as everything that's been going on. So let's go ahead and move up just a little bit more. Now here, Geo is in danger. And this is where I was arguing that we were not diving, because we didn't. If you look at it, all we did was move from here to here. We didn't dive. That was a lateral movement. We didn't go deeper. We didn't go further away. But Geo's in danger and has to GTFO. And that does change things a little bit, but still, it's still 4v3. Now, we know that they're coming, you know, the rest of them, but I don't think this is where we're in danger at this point. So, moving forward a little bit more, Geo realizes he has to get out. Raynor chases. And then at this point, it's just us trying to get everybody else out. And Nem was too deep because you can't retreat as that. But overall, again, not a bad engagement. It just didn't work, was the point I was going. We didn't actually dive. And Cake was close to us that entire time. So what I was saying wasn't relevant in that fight either. That just was a fight that didn't work out. And that happens. So I'll move up again. Let's see, we're getting up here. Okay, so I think this is going to be the next place where a fight actually breaks out. It is, and here I was already calling that we needed to back out. Because I knew that we didn't have Cake with us. I said it, but I tried to stay on the point to see if we could eke it out, because I knew I had a safe get out. This was something I know you guys were having trouble hearing me at this point too, which is, I think this was right after this. I asked if you guys could fucking hear me, because I'd said get out before 3 different people asked if we should leave. So we'll chalk that up to communication. But other than that, it happens, you know, and then I'm just still trying to get all of us out. But we all just kind of kept going in there. And that led to a lot of bad shit happening. So we're just going to call that communication. People couldn't hear Ronan. Ronan needs to get the dick out of his mouth and talk louder. And then it's just them chasing us to get more kills, which they do. So I think there was one other fight I wanted to look at, and then we can stop hammering this in. But this is just going over basic positioning stuff that really wasn't bad. Now this, we weren't together here. We needed to get together here a little bit quicker. Let me back up and see what we were doing. Nope, that's still way too fast. Okay, So we are marching this forward, or they are marching this forward, rather. And Geo is very far away from us. So we're trying to delay this. And that's dangerous, obviously, for obvious reasons. We know why it's dangerous. So, especially once we lost the actual objective, going in, I mean, yeah, we get the kill, but we trade 1-for-1, and then everybody goes in. And they could have very easily turned around and killed more because there's no reason left to fight here. And I didn't go in, and it seemed like we just didn't communicate that well enough. There might have been a little bit of tilt on my end, but either way, as soon as we lost that engage, we get the fuck out safely, basically. And let's just see if there's another one here. Let's see, is this... I don't think they actually fight this. I think they were just trying to stop us. No, they do the same thing. They come in on us. We have to fall back. But we were split too. I mean, look at how most of that fight went. They come in, and how did we go? Let me pull up my little... So we get split. And then right here, we get Malfurion goes up, and I don't hate that because it's a safe way for him to go, at least for now. But, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot we could do about it. They flanked us. They came in from behind. And they basically fought that 4v4 and wrecked us. We get a nice little turnaround there, but then the rest of the team, as they're coming in, they get Malfurion, and then they get out scot-free because we didn't react well enough. And I think that was more just overall issues with our play rather than necessarily positioning. One thing I would say, let me go back on this. And one more. I'll go back one more from that. So as we're coming down to get this, and I'll pause it when we get to this point. Okay, right here, what I would like to see is for positioning, Oscar should be right about there. And then I'll put an X for Malfurion. Malfurion should probably be somewhere in between the two. And then Cassie is already up here where she can come down into this spot. And that leaves me where I can go this way or peel back this way. And no matter what happens, Oscar can keep falling back, shooting, falling back, shooting, falling back, shooting. Malfurion can keep body blocking for Oscar because he doesn't have to stand still to heal and has the route to help. And I have a pretty quick disengage. Cassia doesn't, but she's pretty tanky where likely what ends up happening is I move in, do a big boop, and then slide out to get out. But overall, I think the positioning where we are right here, where we have two people clumped here, and I think it gets worse in a second here. And I'm about to actually hit play because I think it does get worse here. Yes. So now where we are, again, where should we be? Well, as far as I'm concerned, we should be here. And then I'll switch colors to make it a little bit easier. And then with Nem coming in here, that still gives me the opportunity that if I need to, I can still come back in here, boop off the point, and then slide out if I need to. And still cover this retreat path over here. But all of us being this close spelled doom, especially because Nem has to get close. So what do? We clumped 4 people in a spot where they could hit us with all their shit. So this positioning is awful. I didn't catch it in there, but coming back and looking at it, eesh. We should have lost more than just Malfurion here because of that positioning. So it's okay right now because there's only one of them. But right now, everybody's just standing on it. And then everybody went off at the exact same time. And then we're all there. So yeah, that was absolutely horrendous. And if we had been spread out, we actually could have potentially fought them off of the point because all of their AoE wouldn't have been hitting everybody. So something to keep in mind there. And that wasn't the fight I was thinking about. So I do want to still look for that one other fight. Again, this one, we weren't all together, so it made sense that we lost it. But we'll just check there's one in particular I had in mind that I'm looking for, and then we'll call it after that because I don't want this video to be too long. But I do think it is good for us to look at the positioning on some of these fights. Okay, it might be this fight coming up. So we did a good job. Like, we're spreading out here. And actually, our positioning right now is not too terrible, except for no ties in the front. Nem being up front makes sense. But right here, and this is another situation, and it's the exact same thing that happened to us earlier. Where am I? I'm right here. Where are they? They're up here. Where are our squishies? Who's not in between the squishies and their damage dealers? Me. So our squishies should be over here, where Geo is. Because Geo would actually be in a great position to defend the squishies if the squishies were actually over here where I am. And Nem is fine, because again, Nem is basically another frontliner when he's playing Cassia, because she's so short range and she dives when she goes in. Like, inherently, it's like mini dives every time she attacks because of Fend. So I'm not upset with where Nem's positioning is, but specifically, the squishies being No Tai and Oscar, yeah, you guys, that is not good. And this was something that I was struggling to actually put into words while it was happening. Because if we go, and just delete all that, essentially where I would like this to be, because we came in from this angle. So we chose this setup. Honestly, you guys, instead of going this way, should have went down this way, because heals still go out from here. Damage still gets bombed in from here. There's no actual reason for you guys to be up here unless we thought that they were coming in from this direction or this direction, but we had eyes on 4. So there's only one other person, and Geo's already down there where he could have helped anyway. So this was poor positioning as well, as far as when we're playing a long bomb comp. And again, I can't be here because then we're not actually pushing the point, and there's no reason for us to be here at all anyway. And that's what I was getting at, was especially on this map. But in general, there has to be a front line. And in this map, that front line is moving forward. So ideally, what we do instead is we turn and make this the front line. But for that to be the front line, everybody has to be below that line. And that's what this should have been. And that's why I was positioned here, because that puts me the safest way that I can actually engage into these guys if they come through this choke, or switch and engage this way if they come around. But that's going to take you guys keying off my positioning to do. Now, could I have stood here? Yes, but then we're not pushing the objective. And again, then why are we sitting here fighting? We shouldn't be. If that's going to happen, we should go around and actually hit them from a different angle rather than coming in from the obvious position. So just something to think about with that. And this was the last big point. This was the one that specifically I saw that I really wanted to talk about. So now you do pull back, which is good. And now, again, we know where they're coming from. So I'm backing off because I realize this is a very bad position, which is why I left here. And I can't remember what the calls were happening at this time. I'm not really focused on that so much as just general positioning that shouldn't take calls at this point. And then we back off. And then we're getting set up to go back in here. But that was really it. We remember how the rest happened. We're 3 levels down in a talent tier, so the actual outcome of the fight wasn't what I wanted to talk about. But even if you're down, positioning is something we can still work on. So that's all I wanted to go over with this video. I've been way too long-winded as it is. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys later.